All right, guys, today I want to talk with you about supplements. Now, why is it important to talk about supplements? Well, I'll give you a great example. One just came across my desk today. Uh, a job that I sold, the original loss sheet came in with $18,000 on the original RCV. And thanks to the photos that I took to put in the system and the efforts of Jason, our supplementer that you probably met in the office, that job got increased by $24,000. So what was an $18,000 job is now a $24,000 job. That's a big difference, right, guys? So I mean, basically, it's pretty much 3 times as much, right? Big deal. So let's talk about what supplements are, what they are not, and what you can do to make sure that our supplementers are getting you as much money as possible. So first off, to kind of just break down what supplements are. Basically, supplements are us just asking the insurance company to add things onto the estimate that they left off. Now, it sounds like a very standardized process, right? So Eagle View is a third-party company. I don't know if it's drones or satellites, but they have a bunch of guys that were smart at geometry. They use drones or satellites, something, I'm not sure, but they do aerial views of roofs. They take those aerial views and they convert them into measurements. Those measurements tell us the size of the roof and basically what needs to go on the roof. With those measurements and then a brief picture or overview of other items that are on the roof, the adjuster can then take those measurements and they plug them into Xactimate. Now, what's Xactimate? Xactimate is a software that helps contractors create standardized estimates. So Xactimate on a monthly basis polls every contractor in the area. So they're going to see what's for this city, what's the standard rate for a linear foot of gutters? What's the standard rate for a square of asphalt shingles? What's the standard rate for everything that, well, not everything, for 80% of the things that we do, they've got a standardized price. So now all that adjuster has to do is take that measurement from Eagle View, plug those measurements into Xactimate, and it should spit out the pretty much the standardized price for doing this roof in this market. Pretty simple, right? So where that falls apart is the adjuster's decisions about which line items to leave on and which line items to leave off. So certain line items like ice and water, drip edge, a lot of times those line items get added on because they're code. So what we do is basically Jason and Joe sit in an office with a computer. They've got they've got access to all of the local codes. So when an adjuster writes that loss sheet, they can send them the code and say you need to add this line item on. Other line items that get missed are just line items of things that are existing. I mean, a lot of times cornice returns. Cornice returns are the kind of a small section of sort of decorative roofing that you're going to see. It's just kind of like a small triangle. I don't even know how to describe it under the gable. Those are typically $100 to $150 extra a pop. Pretty simple to get added on, and just making sure that all the line items are put on there. So what supplements are not, basically our supplementers aren't they're not magic workers, right? They have to have a justification for everything that they do. So basically the justifications for doing things are: one, it's required by code; two, it's existing and it's damaged and needs to be replaced. Those are pretty much the two things that they are. So code's very simple for them. If we're doing a roof and code says that drip edge is required when we do a roof, it's very simple for them to send in the code, get that replaced. That's simple. That's what they do all day. The other thing that helps our supplementers get things paid for are photos of actual damage. So if I want to get gutters paid for, gutters and downspouts, then I need to take the time to go through and chalk every gutter, every downspout that I can find. So you may not have figured this out yet, but some adjusters are extremely generous. They're going to see one hail ding on a downspout, and they're going to pay for all the gutters and downspouts. Others, you got your Allstates where they're not going to pay for a section of gutters or downspouts unless there's a ding on that section of gutter or downspout. So, as a general rule for you, if you want gutters and downspouts paid for, then you need to take the time to chalk every gutter or downspout damage that you can find. So you chalk it, you get a close-up of the damage, you step far enough back to get an overview picture so that someone can see what they're looking at, and then you upload both of those photos into Job Nimbus. So your goal should be, as you're taking pictures of damage, you need to think these are going to be photos that are looked at by someone who's never been on the property. So I've got to give them enough sense of what happened that they can decide, yes, there was damage. Yes, I understand what I'm looking at. I understand what the damage is, and I'm willing to pay for it. So with gutters, get the downspout, chalk it, take a close-up picture, take a farther back picture so you can see this is the downspout on the front right corner of the home. And then same thing with sections of gutter. So if you take the time to put your ladder up on the roof, you can run a piece of chalk down both sides of the gutter. Sometimes you can feel the bottom of the gutters. You're looking for that little dimple where the hail has hit and impacted the gutter. But get a picture of every damage you got. So for the supplement that Jason just got $24,000 for me. A large part of that was me getting good photos of damage to an existing gutter guard system. So the gutter guards had damage on it. I chalked all of those. There were photos of that. Downspouts have damage. I chalked all of those. Jason used some code and some manufacturer's instructions to show that because the gutter guards were damaged and needed to be replaced, we'd also have to replace the gutters. The other big portion of that supplement was the copper awning. Now, a lot of you guys are going to, a lot of homes, especially the nicer homes that should be in the neighborhoods that you're working on, you'll see a lot of these copper awnings. If there's hail at all, copper awnings always take damage. And generally speaking, these are going to be about $3,000 to $5,000 items for these copper awnings. So that's, for you, that's another $300 to $500 in your pocket, approximately. So put the adjusters typically, in my experience, haven't been real aggressive about getting up there and paying for it. So what you need to do is put your ladder up there, go up there, chalk it, take a picture of it, step back, take a picture of the awning. That's going to help our supplementers get those items paid for. Supplementers aren't going to be able to get things paid for without photos of the damage. So if there's no actual damage on the roof, they're not going to be able to work magic and get a roof paid for. So if you have an adjuster come out, he denies it, and you're asking for a reinspect, they're going to need overview pictures. So you draw your 10 by 10 square, you take your close-up pictures of the hail damage on all four slopes of the roof. So whether that's north, east, south, and west, front, back, left, and right, most roofs have four slopes. Obviously you got some gable roofs that only have a front and a back slope, kind of look like that. But generally speaking, most roofs are going to have four slopes. So you'll need to get the damage overviews on all four slopes. You're also going to need pictures of any soft metal damage. If a desk adjuster is looking at, if they're looking at pictures of shingles, it's hard. You don't get a lot of information from pictures of shingles, but soft metals go a long way towards proving that there was hail there. So make sure that your photos always include some collateral damage. So you want to find some damage to gutters, downspouts, get good pictures of that. Also, the heat stack on the top of a roof, that's always the first thing I go to when I'm doing an inspection. Heat stacks are usually beat to a pulp. I mean, they're a soft metal. If you have a heat stack that doesn't have hail damage on it, that's probably not worth your time. I mean, that's such a soft metal. If it didn't get damaged, it's unlikely that the roof got damaged. Now, will some adjusters still buy this roof even though there's no damage on it? Absolutely. If the homeowner wants to move forward, if they're just gung-ho about the possibility of getting a roof, okay, let's roll the dice. Maybe we get it paid for. But I'm not going I'm not going to hard close anybody. I'm not going to, really push it on anybody. Typically, if I don't find damage on a roof when I come down off the ladder, I'm going to ask the homeowner, hey, let me ask, like, how interested are you getting a new roof? Sometimes you're like, well, if we can get the insurance company to pay for it, let's get it done. Those people I'll file a claim with all day long. Hey, I'm not finding a lot up there, but there is the chance that the adjuster is going to come out and pay for it. So, I mean, if we get a generous adjuster, your insurance company might write you a check. We might get to do your roof. Those people will be excited. Sign them up, run with it. If they're like, well, I only want to get a roof if it's absolutely necessary. Those people, hey, I'm not really seeing the damage up there. An adjuster might come out and pay for it, but probably not. Here's my card. Let me, I've got you in the system. I'll give you a call next time we got a hailstorm. So, back to my topic. If you don't have the photos to justify it, our supplementers aren't going to be able to get things paid for. Now, the other big things that our supplementers are fighting for is overhead and profit. Overhead and profit is an additional 20% that gets added to a claim. The justification, the standard for overhead and profit is basically if it's a job that's sufficiently complex that the homeowner hired a general contractor. Now, we are general contractors. We're licensed to do, even though we just mainly focus on roofing, siding, and gutters, we are licensed as general contractors. We should be getting overhead and profit on every job that we do. But like everything else in this industry, there are a wide variety of standards of when overhead and profit gets applied. I've seen extremely generous adjusters come out. They see a little bit of hail on a low slope 20 square roof. They pay for the roof only and give us overhead and profit. Some adjusters will do it with 3 trades. So roof is one trade, gutter's a trade, interior paint's a trade, copper's a trade, AC units are sometimes considered a trade. So my point is, all of this collateral damage that you get paid for, all of this that you get approved by the adjuster, the more that you get approved, the more that you have photos of, the more that you have documentation of, the more that the more that our supplementers can get on your supplement. The other thing is any place where shingles meet a part of the building. So you got shingles running into a wall, shingles running into a chimney, shingles running into pipes that are extruding from the house. Every place you see something like that, something special has to be done. Usually it's flashing of some type, but basically something, it's not just, we don't just lay shingles right up to the wall and stop, right? We've got to waterproof every section of that. So in each one of those sections, just make a habit of any place that, shingles meet something else. So if it's not just shingles going out to the edge of the roof or going up to the gutter line, take a picture of it. And if there are, if there's metal exposed, like if you've got metal flashing, if you've got any type of metal whatsoever that's exposed, chalk that. If there's been a legitimate hailstorm, a lot of times that's a soft metal. It's going to get damaged easily. The other thing you're looking for is if it's rusted, or if it's installed improperly, or if there are nails through flashing. Typically, most flashings don't. Not only do they not require nails, most flashings should not be nailed into the roof. The idea is that the flashings are set there without any holes in them to shed water. The moment you put a hole in it, now you've got a place for water to drip in, and it's no longer waterproof. So nails and flashing, that's a problem. The flashing needs to be replaced. So get pictures of all of these things, guys. A picture costs us $0, right? It costs us 0 cents. So it's real easy to walk up there, click the button, upload into Job Nimbus. The entire time you are on a roof, you should be your finger is on the thumb of your phone. You're just sitting there with Job Nimbus open, taking pictures. There's a wall, picture. There's siding, a picture. There's a chimney. Take a picture of it. Take a picture of every side of the chimney. If any place you see flashings, any place you see metal, chalk everything. The moment you see that little circle, that means more money on the claim. So the more that you document, the more that we're going to be able to get in supplements. So the way that supplements, just to kind of give you an understanding of the process, so that if you need to explain to the homeowners, the way that supplements work, our supplementers aren't going to start working on a project until you bring in the initial loss sheet. So when you get that initial loss sheet, you upload it to Job Nimbus. When you upload it in Job Nimbus, tag the supplementers so that they know the loss sheet's there and they can get started on it. What they're going to do is they're going to go through and they're going to identify everything that's been left off, and they're going to send that request into the adjuster. Now, typically we should be able to get this process done in about 3 days. But from time to time, especially as we get into the busy season, we get slowed down on that. So sometimes our adjusters get hung up. It might be a week or two until they get it sent in. Part of the reason why we have our, typically we don't schedule roofs until about 6 weeks out from the day that we've got everything in. So we've got the check, we've got the loss sheet, check, loss sheet, colors all picked out, and then we're going to set the roof for about 6 weeks after that. The reason that we do this is so that we can get everything negotiated with the insurance company. So the adjuster can approve drip edge, the adjuster can approve ice and water. Our supplementers can look at it from time to time. There'll be things that we don't want to do the roof until we have an adjuster's approval. So for example, a lot of times skylights. If there's a skylight on a roof, adjusters are usually going to pay just for the flashing kit. Flashing kit's $100, $200, something like that. But replacing an entire skylight's an additional $1,000 that's added to your claim. Now, if you see a skylight, same thing. It's metal. You want to chalk it until you see a little, just like on a downspout. Chalk it. That little round dent shows up. You take a picture of it. Get as many of those as you can. So don't chalk the glass. Your homeowner's going to wonder why the heck you're writing on his glass like a little kid. But every part of the metal, you want to chalk that. Get a picture of it. That's going to add more to your claim. So the way that the supplements work, we're going to send a request into the adjuster. They're going to say what they can and can't pay for. Sometimes we argue with them, but ultimately 95, 98% of the time we come to an agreement with the adjuster. It's very rare that we aren't able to reach an agreement with the adjuster. So we're going to get it done. The homeowner's out of pocket is still going to be just their deductible, and then any upgrades that we added on. And so that's really